to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. This podcast exists because we want you to win, and the formula is different today than it was 10 years ago. You can't just do a demo and get in a record deal on your talent. You're going to have to bring a lot more to the table. You're going to have to bring verifiable evidence that you have an audience. You're going to have to be engaged with that audience. You're going to have some cash flow. You're going to have sold some records, gotten some massive amounts of attention on Spotify and the streaming places, sold some merch. This is what's going to attract the people to you. It's much more than just your talent. And that's why we created this podcast, because the C.L.I.M.B stands for Creating Leverage in the Music Business, C.L.I.M.B. It's called an acronym. And that was not acronyms, but the C.L.I.M.B acronym specifically was created by my good friend.
I did not create acronyms.
And co-host Mr. Brent Baxter.
I would have called them Brentisms.
you would have been a little bit more branding on that.
Way more egotistical.
So, Brent is an award, a smart aleck and an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And what I love about Brent is he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how to write like a pro, revealing how to do business like a pro. And when you get those two things down, then by golly, he'll get you in and connect you with the pros and get you in front of the people that can help take you to the next level when you're ready. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They help you find your sound and they help you grow your audience so you can become the artist that everybody loves and so you can get paid, which ain't bad. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
Hey, brother, how are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right. It's nice to be doing these in the daytime.
Yeah, right. For those of you who aren't aware, we used to do this starting at 8:30 at night.
Right, after my kids get in bed, which my wife, by the way, is doing a wonderful job of keeping my kids quiet. I probably just jinxed it, but
that's
totally just jinxed it. All right, sorry about that.
Stop saying that.
Ruby's probably going to run in here holding up a diaper.
Dad, look, you should be proud.
I know.
Well, anyway, so today we're going to ask the craziest question you think anybody would ever ask, and I'm sure you have an answer for it, but we're going to dive deeper into that answer. Mm-hmm. And the question is, what if the label says yes?
Then I'm rich and I'm famous and smooth sailing.
Think again. And also it could be applied to publishing companies. What if publishing companies say yes? Mm-hmm. Right? But before we get into that, we've got a new review to read over, a new 5-star review.
We do have a new 5-star review, which I'll be happy to share with everybody. This is from Nick Clyburn Band, which, by the way, Nick is a member of the Freddie community and has some good songs over there. So if you want to check out, hello, Nick. If you want to listen to some good old country songs, hop on over to Freddie and listen to Nick. The free shout out, Nick. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So anyway, this is a 5-star review. It says, easy listening. All right, easy listening. This podcast is a must for singer-songwriters and indie artists alike. It doesn't matter what genre you are because leverage is what it's teaching. It's the 4 a.m. cup of coffee heading to work in the morning, and I feel like that I take something with me every episode. It's a good hang. Keep climbing. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. Right on. So, hey, before we dive into this real quick, join the C.L.I.M.B community. If you haven't already, go on Facebook, search for C.L.I.M.B community, request to be let in. We let everybody in that request be good boys and girls, or we will show you to the door and roadhouse your...
Roadhouse you.
Yeah, we'll roadhouse you. Number 2, subscribe to the podcast. And then automatically it appears every Tuesday in your download. You don't have to think about it. It's right there ready to go for your 4 a.m. cup of coffee, like Nick talks about. He's got an early job, man. God bless him.
Or he's getting up early before his job because he's climbing.
Exactly, because he's getting an hour or 2 hours of reading time and listening time and growth.
And working time in before you go to the day gig.
Do it.
That's how I don't know if that's what he's doing, but that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. That's right. And hey, take a few minutes. It's not even a minute. Leave a rating and review. It makes us look legit to everybody that's thinking about checking us out, and we'll read it on the air. We'll make you famous. It makes us feel good. And hey, if this stuff is helping you, share it. Let other people know about it. Turn them on to it, because it's definitely going to help your friends. And hey, if you're in a band and somebody's not seeing things the way that you're seeing things because you're woke now and they're not woke, then it's, hey, you should listen to this. And then it's not you telling them what to do.
Right.
It's us telling them what to do.
Exactly.
They'll come around, and sometimes it's how you serve it up, right?
Exactly. And we're just going to listen to this in the bus on the way to Des Moines'. On the way to that gig, we're just going to listen to this podcast. That's right. We're going to listen. I thought you might think this is cool. Like, check it out. Yeah, that's right. So, and hey, did you know this guy has been on Blind Date? We got to listen to his podcast.
He's that right there means he's legit. Like, so this is taken from an old blog that I wrote, but I think it's a really, really important point, because every time I ask people, like, what if the label says yes? And just like just the response you came out with is like, well, then I'll be rich, I'll be famous, I'll be out on tour. It's like, no, you won't. And my one of my buddies, a longtime friend of mine, killer engineer Kelly Shainfeld, and I were actually at a private party with our good friend Anthony Oreo. I think you were there too. Were you there in this? I think it was
I don't know.
It was before Anthony had his first baby.
Ooh, so it's been a minute.
It was like, instead of having it was like Anthony's baby shower, but it was at this place where you smoke cigars and drink like whiskey. And Klein was there, and so I wasn't sure if you were there or not. I don't remember. But we ended up in a conversation over cigars and liquor about artist development and the damage.
I think I was. Yeah.
Yeah, you were there. So we were all talking about like the damage that happens when artists and songwriters get their lucky break too early. Right? What if the opportunity of a lifetime to take a big step towards your dream, and you're not developed enough, you're ill prepared, or worse, you're searching only for fame. You just want to be famous. You're not interested in being an artist. In short, what if the label says yes? That's right. I said that. That just happened. What if the record label or publishing company says yes? Are you ready? I know you think you're ready, but are you really ready? Do you know where you're going artistically? Are you prepared to fight for your vision, or will you be lost in the crowd with your hat in your hand, which happens to just about every American Idol winner, or every American Idol top 5 finalist, right? They very few of them turn out to be Kelly Clarkson, and very few
Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood. They mostly disappear, and they get some fame, so they can still tour and everything, but the machine eats them up, because they're not on solid ground enough artistically to say, no, this isn't going to work for me. Only this is going to work. So, do you understand the hustle of the business and how to operate intelligently within it so that you can capitalize on the coming momentum? The NFL, when a lot of people don't know this, but when you get into the NFL first time, you're a rookie, they have classes that all rookies are required to take to deal with the instantaneous rise in the player's brand awareness, cash flow, how to deal with groupies. They try to make them aware, like, look, people are going to come out of the woodwork and have every opportunity for you, and you need to be aware. You need to be able to filter through who's legit, who just wants to shake you down for money.
Right, like you've probably never had rich people problems before. This is rich people problems 101.
Right, you just came from the hood, and
you just caught a ride on the rich rocket. And
that's right.
Let's prepare you. Yeah.
You know where they don't offer this? In the music business. And in fact, I think a lot of people in the music business prefer that you don't know, more money for the powers that be. You can't just stick your toes in the water. You've got to be all in and weigh in on this at any time, Brent. Like I know you will, but to make a living, you've got to be a student of the game. If you don't know your business, you're being lazy. And trust me, they will know your business because they're professionals, and you will suffer for your lack of knowledge one way or the other, So let's get into some details like publishing companies. What if the publishing company says yes? One of the conversations that we had centered on the 3 discussions or so we have every week with beginning songwriters. You know, they understandably apprehensive about spending too much on their dream, right? Which they're inevitably conflicted about. So in lieu of a proper professionally acceptable demo recording, they'll go shopping like for the best deal. Cheapest demo price, you know.
Yeah, maybe not best deal, but best cheapest price.
The cheapest price. They go shopping for the cheapest price. That's right. Yeah. I hear it all the time. I just want to stick my toes in the water to see if anyone cares. Like, I'm going to record these 3 songs that I wrote, and if anyone cares about those, if I get some validation back, is what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
Then I might take this a little bit more seriously. And first of all, how do you feel about that right there?
You're probably going to quit at some point anyway.
Yeah, because that's.
I mean, if that validation is what is going to determine whether or not you keep going, we all get kicked in the Jimmy. You know, we all are not wanted. We all, you know, if that's what you need is that enough validation to keep you going, you don't quit. So might as well do it early.
It's got to be more than that. Yeah, do it early and save your money. Right.
Exactly.
Like, when you know, when I was an artist, I wasn't looking to stick my toes in the water. Here's the deal. Like, I knew from a very early age, like, that is what I want to do. I saw 8 years old, my parents took me to see Neil Diamond at Alpine Valley in Wisconsin. I was like, I knew the records because my dad would spin them all the time. Like, I knew Hot August Night. It was an incredible record. And when I saw it, it was the first like live show I've ever been to. I was like, holy crap. That's what I want to do. And nothing stopped me. You know, nothing stopped. Like, I had to do it. It wasn't like this cool idea. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. It's something that I had to do or I was going to explode. You know, I was going to be in an insane asylum if I didn't make it. And so I think as a writer, we're speaking specifically about publishing companies right now and writing. Like, you have to write to survive. Like, not in business. Like, your head will explode. Like, you've got to get stuff out, right? Yeah. Like, that's the way you've got to approach it. There's no sticking your toe in the water. I mean, you just got to be.
You know, people start off with, you know, I got started toe in the water. I wrote my first song without realizing it was a song until a buddy put a melody to it, and then I was like, oh, that's really good. And then with every song I'd quote unquote finish, there was validation there, and there was positive feedback, you know, just for myself. But then if other people liked it, you know, so you take those small steps which kind of feed that desire, you know, water that little seed. But if you decide you want to go pro, you gotta be prepared. Like, okay, now it gets hard. And the whole thing is the payoff has to be the work, not the validation.
Yeah. You know, like, you've got to love writing. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. You've got to love being an artist. You've got to really want to be an artist and love the work of doing that, or it's not going to work for you. If all you're doing is looking for validation, then what that means is all you want to do is be famous.
Yeah. I mean, for me,
makes sense.
Why do I want cuts and hits? Because that allows me to write more songs. I love being in the room with a buddy and writing a song and making up something that didn't exist before and getting like the demo or back or listening to the work tapes and that stuff. Yes, getting that validation of people being able to sing your song to you is awesome, and having something to hang on the wall is awesome, and the money can be great too. But ultimately, it's awesome because it means I get to do more of what I love doing.
Yeah, we get to do it again next year.
I get to do more of this. It's like more tickets for the ride. Yeah, like you did. Here's some more tickets to that ride you just took. That's what I love.
That's got to be how you think about it. Yeah. You know, you know, so I'll have, you know, our writers all the time come into me that not quite professional yet, and they're like, I really, you know, want to just kind of stick my toe in the water, so I'm looking for the cheapest place. And here's the thing you need to know: like, in Nashville, there are businesses that cater to every single level of what you feel your professionalism is, you know? So people that want to pay $350 for one song, you're going to find that. You're definitely going to find that. You know, it's going to be one guy that's going to do everything. Now, if you just want to get songs recorded for posterity for you, and you just want to hear something kind of come together, awesome. But if you're trying to be professional, probably not the way to go. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've had that conversation with somebody who's like, I'm going to go this route with the, you know, $350, $400 song. Awesome. And then I'm like, send it to me when you're done. I want to hear how it turns out. And well, we had to recut like 5 different things and this and that and the other thing and have it remixed and all that. And I'm like, so how much did your $400 demo cost? So like $1,100. I'm like, and how did you feel about it? Like, it was so frustrating. Like, okay, so you know what? Like, there's places where you can go and spend between $800 and $1,200 for a song, and it'll be the ride of your life. It'll be fun because it's all going to happen right then and there. It's going to be great. And you know what I mean? So it's just about understanding what you want to do, you're going to get what you pay for, and make that happen. And song pluggers know what a good song is. They also know what a good recording is. And in some cases, if you've got a really, really strong song, you don't need to spend a whole lot of money on the recording. But if you don't, then and the groove and the vibe is going to be key, then you better be competitive with the recording. You want to be able to have a backlog too of work. That now, Brent, you're the exception to the rule, right? But I mean, if the publishing company says yes, and you come in and you get this one song, and all of a sudden you get a cut, and then everybody's going to want to talk to you, and you're like, I got nothing else. Like, you got to get to work now and start writing. Guess what? You haven't been paid yet. Let's talk about that. You haven't been paid yet. You know what I mean? Right. So it's going to take, your first cut. For me, Monday Morning Church.
Monday Morning Church, yeah.
So from the time that you got except the producer said, yeah, I'm going to put that on Alan Jackson's record. And then you did that. Like, then how long did it take to?
So I got the word late March of 2004 that Alan cut it. All right. So I've been in town about 2 years. The record didn't come out until like October or something. It was a second single, so he already had a single out, but it wasn't my song, so I'm not getting any money. Yeah, I'm not generating any income. And then, I guess it came out in the summer. The first single came out maybe the summer. Then he debuted the song basically on the CMA Awards, and single dropped in October, maybe early October. And the record came out then as well. So I actually got paid for... Might have come out in like September. I think it came out in September. But basically, it was like late, maybe November of 2004 when I got my first, mechanical check. Performances took longer to cycle through. But since I was a publisher, I am the publisher on Monday Morning Church on my share of it. It skipped a step. It didn't go through a publisher and then get held for a quarter while they collect it and process it. And otherwise, it would have been mid, April or something. Before I got paid of 2005, it would have taken over a year to get paid from the time that the song was recorded. As it was, it still took almost a year to start getting that first check. And then I've had other songs. Randy Travis cut a song of mine that he cut it in 2006, and the song came out, and the record came out in 2008. So it took 2 years from the time he cut it to the time the record finally came out. It takes a while. But you're saying exception to the rule. Maybe I was an exception to the rules of the fact that I had a hit before I had the publishing deal, because I didn't sign the publishing deal till basically January 1st, 2005 with Major Bob. So the song was already a single. But I didn't have all the catalog to follow that up with. I had one hit song. I had other songs that I'd started to write with some pros by that point, guys like Charlie Steffel, Byron Hill. So that were good quality songs, thankfully, because, Charlie Steffel and Byron Hill are going to write good quality songs. I couldn't stop them. But I didn't have enough of a catalog to go for Major Bob to run it and go, oh, you like that top 5? You like that? Check these out. I had to start building that. And so I lost a lot of momentum because I didn't have that other stuff ready.
That's what I wanted to tap into there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you want to be, you hear the deal. You got to keep working. You got to keep working because
I outkicked my coverage.
Yeah.
Boom. Wow, what a great kick. Oh, geez, our guys aren't down there here he comes. Yeah.
You outkicked your coverage. That's right. So, everybody has a dream, tons of dreams. If you have dreams of making it as a songwriter and recording artist, but if you're not somewhat prepared, a yes could be the beginning of the end. And at the very least, extremely expensive and emotionally exhausting. To me, making it is defined as making a living doing what you love to do. And there are different levels of making it based on volume and revenue generated. But if it's based on making a living, doing what you love to do, then you're working on a solid foundation. Fame can be annoying, and this is a little outside of the songwriter thing. It's more the artist thing, but I get why people seek it. I did initially. They shove it down our throats. We consume it like crazy. But it's a pain in the ass, in the context of a small time, like regional fame thing, it's creepy. Everybody's in your business talking about your business like they know you. They don't know you. You get written about in the papers. It's weird. And you need to be, the more time that you're in this industry, the more you're going to get seasoned for this, the easier it is, the more chance you have of coming out the other end and not be affected, right? Eleanor Roosevelt said, like, big minds talk about ideas, medium minds talk about events, and small minds talk about people. So the search or need to only be famous is an exercise for small brains. Those who only seek fame come off to me as green, like inexperienced, and also green with envy, and therefore they're delusional. And if you have to work, if you're Paris Hilton or a cocktail party joke with some crappy sex tape or whatever, if you want to be iconic, you just got to put in the work. There's no way to get around doing the work, which is the point that I want to make. If you want your songs to be timeless, you got to put in the work to learn how to write a timeless song. Let's talk about labels for a second. What the record label says yes. Get a major label to say yes these days. It's because you've generated some kind of attention, a brand, a following on a reality show. We talked about Bad Baby in a past show. Maybe you're on a vocal talent show, like American Idol or The Voice or something like that. And so the label feels some comfort in investing in you because they feel like there's a market, there's some brand awareness, that people are going to know who you are. Or you created real momentum on your own through touring, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, trackable record sales, maybe sold out concerts, and maybe you've managed to fund a Kickstarter campaign with, if you get 1,000 backers in a Kickstarter campaign or $100,000 in funds, record labels can go looking for you. There's labels that'll sign you based on just that. But let's dissect the latter first. In this scenario, you probably will, in the Kickstarter scenario, you're probably already turn down several label offers because you've already got the audience. The conversation in a situation like this is going to start with you saying, what are you label guys going to do for me that I have already done for myself that warrants me giving you massive percentage of my revenue from sales, merchandise, publishing, ticket sales, etc. This is called leverage at the negotiating table, and believe me, when you're seasoned with momentum, you come to the table with a heavy hammer, which is what this podcast is all about. You're going to be protective of your small, profitable business. Yeah. You're going to be, your eyes will be open. In the many ways a label can screw up your future in this case, and all your hard work from your past. And you need to be in the right seat at the negotiating table. I have seen that. I know personally a couple artists who were signed from YouTube fame, if you will. Right? They've got big YouTube accounts, but they signed to a label that doesn't understand YouTube. So if you go back and listen to some previous episodes where we talk about the YouTube strategy, two things are important. That you understand where the traffic is coming from to build the audience, but number two, consistency, right? You got to be consistent. So think about, if you're not prepared mentally to what happens when the label says yes, and you're like, okay, I just figured out how to get 3 million people to subscribe to me on YouTube. I got this, I did a bunch of work here. I was consistent. I was doing all these things, made it happen. And then the label signs me and you're like, yep, I'm just going to put the cigar in my mouth, kick back, put my feet up on the table and be like, make me famous, boys. Let's go.
I'm done with that YouTube channel.
Yeah. And then guess what? You're going to lose your audience because you're not consistent. The label doesn't know what they're doing with that. More than likely, they don't understand the gravity of that. That's not their business. And obviously, and they, they lose because they were making revenue on YouTube at that level. Like a living, like a comfortable living, like a 6-figure living, $100,000 plus a year. And now the label's just like, well, this wasn't what we thought it would be. And so you're dropped. Like that's happened a lot, So what if the label says yes, right? Are you sure?
Because what that does is you go from standing in one line outside the building to standing in a different line inside the building.
Exactly. But the same line. And what's, you've got to be, there's at no point should you ever think that it's okay to take your hands off the wheel? Because the car's going to hit a guardrail.
Right.
And So let's talk about an artist, let's say, who gets a deal after skyrocketing to fame on TV or from some other crazy, massively publicized anomaly like, I guess Bad Baby was TV too, but it wasn't like a talent competition. It was just a freak thing. She's by the way, Bad Baby, if you don't know, is the Cash Me Outside girl. And if you don't know that, just like Cash, C-A-S-H, just Google Cash Me Outside, look at the clip, and you'll get it. Okay.
That's why she gets a record deal.
Yeah. She got 11 million followers on Instagram. She gets a record deal, and because she has an audience here. But these kind of artists don't really have a heavy hammer. If you win Next American Idol, who cares? This will be what I think it's just coming back now. It'll be officially the 15th season, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't even know.
Season. How many winners are there? Can you name? There's 13 or 14 winners. Anybody on the client community, go there and name without researching. Name 5 of them. You can't. You probably can't. You probably can't name half of them. You probably can't name 7. So you're real hot and then it disappears, right? And this is what every up-and-comer seems to dream about because it looks easy, but it's typically a mess. You feel like a rock star for a hot second when you're on these shows, but the big names, because you're hanging out with the big names, and you feel like you're somebody, you're being treated like talent. You're
getting to make car commercials.
Exactly for Ford, in mid-show. But like I said, if I put a gun to your head, you couldn't name half of the winners, and you're listening to this podcast because you're in the business. You should know this, right? But you don't. Most people don't. And they're here and gone in the mess when it comes to the public eye. So what's interesting is how many artists are catapulted into market awareness, but they're not sure who they are as artists. I remember when Bo Bice came out, I thought in my heart that because I think he got number 2. I don't think he was number 1. I think he
came in second or something.
But I thought this is what's going to bring rock and roll back. It's going to bring awareness back to rock and roll, which has been waning as a genre for quite some time now. And I thought this is going to, he's going to come out with a rock and roll record because he was all rock and roll. And guess what? He just wasn't sure who he was enough that he still had his hat in his hand and went through the car wash of, we're going to do this pop song, we're going to do this. And I felt in a lot of ways like he lost his opportunity, to turn it around because he didn't, in order for you to go against, what's the word I want to look for? In order for you to go against like Clive Davis and say, Clive, like, I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
You really got to know what you're doing. You can't be unsure, right? Because if you've got half a brain in your head, if you're unsure, listen to Clive. Like he knows.
Right, yeah.
So many hits. He's an icon. But, let's take Sheryl Crow, for instance, right? Who gets a deal with A&M Records. And Sheryl Crow has a record that was made. Her first record was not officially Tuesday Night Music Club. It was something else that it never saw the light of day. It was a pop record. It was really slick. She was a background singer for Michael
Jackson and Don Henley, I think.
Yeah. And it comes out and it doesn't come out like it's done. They're done mixing it. And all of a sudden she starts to realize, because she's been in the business for so long, she's like, this isn't me. I don't want to be this dancing chicken. I don't want to have to put this suit on because this isn't really my skin. This isn't really my suit.
She's like, this ain't no country club. This ain't no whatever that little discotheque either.
This ain't no discotheque either. That's right. And so she, you want to talk about balls, right? Like she goes back to the record label after they spent.
That's probably what that line's referring to.
I think it is. Now that you said that, I hadn't thought about it that way.
I hadn't either.
Like that's probably exactly what that was. And she just went back and said, you know what? I can't do this. I'm not going to put this record out. This isn't me. This is this recording, this record has no rough edges, and my life is full of rough edges. And I want to be true to me. And she gets sued. Think about that. Here's your one shot, your one big at bat. And instead of having her hat in her hand, she was like, God, no. Because she knew enough about who she was as an artist from the work that she'd done that, okay, I can't do this. I can't put it out. And she let it go too far, right?
Yeah.
But still, she had the guts to go back and be like, we're out. Like we're gonna do it this way. And she gets sued, and then then that was the birth of Tuesday Night Music Club. It was a bunch of friends just trying to get her out of the deep depression she was in, and they were just getting together to create. They weren't even trying to make a record; they were just playing around and just trying to get her out of the house.
Yeah,
in bed for 6 months. Like I just ruined my life. And then that was her. That record came out, and that was like really her, and that was really the deal. And because she had friends with a recording studio and all that stuff, she was able to swap out the masters, and that makes A&M happy. And then of course it went on to win I don't know how many Grammys or whatever.
Huge record.
But if she just put that record out, dollars to donuts, we wouldn't know who Sheryl Crow was. She wouldn't be the iconic artist that she is now, because you got to know who you are as an artist. It's easy to spot these artists on American Idol now that I look back and I watch them. Like you know who's a little like been promoted to this sort of point of incompetence, right? They're not ready for this yet. Like you know who's going to go sideways and who's not going to go sideways. But the more hard work you do on your own, this is the point. The more traction you get as an artist on your own, the less likely you are to sign a major label record deal until it makes absolute sense for you. And if you do choose to sign a deal, it's going to be more advantageous to you. You're going to have you're going to be driving, right? Rather than letting them drive, which is what so many people want to do. I don't want to learn this. So I'm just going to let you guys take it over. And man, I'm telling you, very, very few iconic artists. No, I don't think any iconic artists, but very few artists that even had like one hit went into the game and just handed the reins over to those guys and let them do it. Like there was a whole lot of work involved and a whole lot of direction that was coming from the artist. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. And I know that I want to do it this way because I've got this body of work behind me, and you can define yourself, That's all I had to say about that.
Cool, man. It's good stuff. So remember, you want to give yourself leverage. So if they say yes, then you have the right to say no. And you can say, this is what my audience wants. This is how I serve them. I know what I'm doing. Plus, I want to leapfrog these other people that came in with no audience, nothing. They were signed on talent alone, which is increasingly rare these days. But you're going to put my record out first because I got people that actually want my record. You don't have to convince them to want my record. They already want my record. And I got these, and I have these songs. Let's go. I know what I'm doing. Let's run with it, versus other artists you're developing. Doesn't have a fan base yet. Nobody's asking for that record. Yep. Who's going to get the record out first?
Yeah. So, I mean, to your point, Brent, I promise you this. You think you want a record deal right now, but and maybe you've got all the talent in the world. Maybe you can pull Whitney Houston's voice out of the water. But the last thing that you want to be in today's market is an artist that has a major record deal with all the talent, more talented than anybody else on the label, and no audience.
Right.
Because you're going to be put on ice.
All deal, no audiences.
Yeah. It's like there's all hat and no cattle, all cattle and no hat. That's a problem too. Yeah. So you need to be able to come in with some business so that you're going to, so that they can go out of the way, and really the whole corporation is going to invest in you emotionally as well as physically. It's not just about the money,
Going back to football, because it's playoff season, right? Go Titans. They probably have already lost to the Patriots by the time this comes out. But anyway, okay, you have the two running backs. Who do you feed? You feed the one that's got the hot hand. Yeah. Right? So you have a stable of running backs. You have a stable of artists on a label who's got the hot hand. Feed them the ball. Yep. They're getting yards. We want to win as a team, which is our label. Feed the hot hand, man. Give them attention. Give them the freaking ball. Yeah. Same thing. If you come in and you already have a hot hand going because you've created leverage for whatever reason, you have an audience, you have, you know who you are as an audience, that kind of stuff, they're naturally going to feed you the ball. You're a better use of resources. We're going to train up this other person. So that's just another way of looking at it. That's right. And I mean, too many artists in the past, and this used to work, were signed by like one guy at a label or one lady, one woman at a label, A&R, like, I believe in you. You're the one. That's awesome. You get signed to the label. And then, hey, they go get another gig. They go to another label. And now you're screwed because the rest of the label isn't behind you. So you're on ice. That stuff, there's a million people with stories like that out there. Yes. So you've got to come in with the leverage in the business. And that's the purpose of this. So You think Luke Bryan is worried that his key person at the label is going to quit, get fired, then he's next on the chopping block? No, he has leverage.
Yeah.
It's on a much higher scale, right? But it's the same kind of thing going, oh man, Bill signed me over here and golly, I just don't know if he gets fired. I just don't know what I'm going to know.
And I promise you, none of those artists think about that when they get the deal. They don't think about it after it happens. Like the accidents happen. Now they're all alone, twisted in the wind at a label, and nobody even cares about them. Like they didn't believe in them yet. There's not something there for them to grasp onto, for them to understand this is how it's going to help our team, to your point. You know, like the football analogy was great. But anyway, listen, if you want more information on this, if you want to apply this kind of knowledge to your specific artistic situation, we're available for consultations. Hit us up at info@daredevilproduction.com. Once again, it's info@daredevilproduction.com. Production singular, there is no S. Just put consultation in all capital letters in the subject line. It'll get into the right folder, and we'll get back to you. You know, you'd be amazed at what we can accomplish in 1 hour, just to get your socials right, get you on the right track so that you can start growing an audience, and maybe just do some big picture brainstorming on how you should look and what you want to do before you take another step forward to make sure that you're driving and that you're comfortable driving and you know where you're going, that kind of a thing. So with that said, that brings us to the end of another killer C.L.I.M.B episode. Again, join the C.L.I.M.B community if you haven't already. Ask to be let in, and we will approve you. Leave a rating and review. It takes 20 seconds. It helps us look legit to other people, and we'll make you famous. We will read it on the air. This podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.